This article says, sorry, gender critical trolls, you can't tell someone's sex by their pelvic bone. Here's why.
There are osteopathic differences between a male body and a female body. So there are bone differences in many different areas. And in a perfect condition, meaning that all bones are present and that there are contextual clues, the sex and gender of a cadaver or a skeleton can be assumed with pretty deep percentage of reasonableness. The thing is that the argument that comes up is in 200 years, when archaeologists dig your body up, they're still going to be able to tell what your gender is. Now, archaeologists themselves have argued that the ability to definitively identify the sex of a skeleton is really based upon the contextual clues. Archaeologists are not osteoarchaeologists, a very specialized form of archaeologists. An osteoarchaeologist actually considers the skeletal remains to look and see what clues, not evidence, can be discerned from the presence of these bones and these certain markers. Durham University archaeology professor Rebecca Gallen said that skeletons are often categorized as male, probable male, unknown, female, or probable female. Categorization is based on a number of different factors, including poor preservation, or some of the skeletal traits used to estimate sex are ambiguous. Sexual dimorphism, the biological physical difference between the sexes of a species, is reportedly so slight in a skeleton of a human that the margin of error can be exceptionally high. Gallen added that professionals are aware biological sex exists on a spectrum, of which skeletons and the sexual variation they show is only one part of the greater whole. Now, let's just hold this for one moment, because I will frequently hear the argument, well, if they dig your bones up, they're going to be able to know what gender you are. And I'm like, no, they're not, because the bones are not going to be able to lead them to that. Well, then they say they'll be able to test your DNA. That is also false, because the DNA in bones degrades to such a degree over time that there is not a definitive test that you can run. In fact, the only DNA that is possible to be tested in any kind of a lab setting, you can't do this in the field, but in a lab setting, is the DNA within your teeth, because it is a contained unit. The DNA inside your teeth, the tissue within your teeth, can actually be tested, but even it degrades over time. But keep in mind the idea of, so when archaeologists dig you up in several hundred years, that's all bullshit. First of all, gender is not designated by the skeleton. Gender is designated by the contextual clues. Second, your sex cannot be definitively determined by your skeleton, because the markers in the skeleton are sometimes too close between the different dichotomous sexual traits, so that you can't really tell it. And third, many examinations of the sex of a skeleton are not done in the field. They have to be done in a lab with a specialist. So every time they mention the archaeology debate, go ahead and turn your ears off, because everything after that is horseshit.
Well, and everything before that is too. Let me just come out and say this for everybody that's watching. I have never once claimed that I was not born in a male body. I have never once claimed that if they find that my body was male at birth or had whatever characteristics of male, It doesn't change anything. Like I have never contradicted that
Right.
in any of my statements about myself. My brain, the essence of my being, who I am inside, is female.
Mm.
That is what being transgender is.
Mm-hmm.
So to say, to grasp at straws and try and find all of these ways to say, no, see, I have proof. Even archaeologists 200 years from now will know. You're not revealing some great surprising thing. I've never claimed that wasn't true, and I
Right.
never will, because I can't. Like, I
Yeah.
acknowledge how I was born. I just acknowledge that my brain was born differently than my body. That
Yeah.
is what being transgender is. So it's just a ridiculous grasping at straws to try and find some other way of discrediting being transgender. And it's like, but you're not contradicting what we're saying. Like,
Right.
it's whatever.
And
Very silly.
so let me just add this. If you really want to confound them, tell them that you aren't going to be buried.
Okay.
Tell them that you're going to be cremated. Tell them that you are going to donate your body for science. Tell them that you're going to do what I'm going to do, and that is you're going to have your body given to a body farm. I am going to donate my body to a body farm so that my body will be spread by the coyotes. It will be torn apart by the buzzards. I'm going to have lots of bugs eating on me. That's all good and fine with me. And I'm looking at them and like, go for it, dude. Go
That's
for it.
fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
Is Viking funeral off the table?
Yes, it is illegal within the United States to set a body on fire intentionally.
Damn. Intentionally? If we make it look like an accident. A flaming arrow, though, is kind of hard to say as
Yeah,
an accident.
that's a no-go.
Darn.